Hi everyone, today welcome to our discussion of the types of retirement accounts. I thought we'd start off with sort of a humorous video.
Okay, we all set to start this retirement savings fund? All set. Did you work out how much we should be charging in fees? Well, we have two options. Hit me. We could charge 0.5% or we could charge 1.5%. Doesn't sound like much of a difference. What do you think? Well, if we charge 1.5% in fees, then the people whose money we're managing will have about $250,000 less in retirement than if we charge 0.5%. But we make 250 grand more per person? Yes. Can we charge 2%? I don't see why not. This is easy. What's next?
All right, so yeah, that's retirement. So one of the things we won't talk. One of the things we'll talk about later is how fees impact your retirement savings.
Okay, we all.
You do want to try to avoid fees, so we'll talk more about that later, though. All right. So there's two main types of retirement accounts. There is what's called a pre-tax accounts. They're called tax advantaged. I think they changed that name because they wanted to make it really clear that it's a good thing to have these accounts. This is money where your money is placed into the account before you pay taxes on it. So some of the advantage of this, it reduces the amount of money you pay in income tax, so you keep more of the money you make. That's a really positive thing. And then the money that you would have paid on that in taxes is actually sitting in that account earning interest, so it's building up stuff. Some disadvantages of a pre-tax account is that because you didn't pay taxes when you put the money into the account, when you take it out in retirement, you do need to pay income tax on that money. Oftentimes, though, you're making less money in retirement or you're using less money each year in retirement. So paying taxes then will mean you pay less in taxes. So it's also kind of a good thing and a bad thing. And then there's also strict limits on how much you can contribute each year. You can't put an unlimited amount of money in these accounts. So these pre-tax accounts are good to start when you're really young. That way you can keep maxing them out every year for a long time so that it can build up money really quickly. Okay, so the other main type is an after-tax account. So pre-tax, after-tax. In this one, you're taking money that's already been taxed for income tax and you're putting it into the account. A disadvantage of this is that there's less money to put in the account. If you had $10,000 you want to invest and you paid 22% tax on that, then you only have $7,800 left to actually put into the account. So some of your money goes to taxes instead of going into the account. A nice thing about this account, though, is because you've already paid income tax on the money. When you take the money out in retirement, you do not have to pay income tax then. A disadvantage is it earns less interest. So your account's going to grow a little more slowly because it doesn't have that extra chunk of money in there that would on a pre-taxed account. So let's say you put $12,000 of your annual income into a retirement account that's $1,000 per month. If you choose a pre-tax account, the entire $1,000 goes into the account and begins to earn interest. It starts working for you right away. If you choose an after account, you might pay anywhere between 10 and 35%, depending on your highest tax bracket. So maybe only $650 to $900 actually goes into the account because you're paying taxes on it first. So that's sort of how it's a kind of a bummer to do an after-tax account. Types of pre-tax accounts. These are all the pre-tax accounts that you'll have access to. A 401k account is the most common. Almost all larger companies will have 401k accounts set up. They're all typically offered through your employer, and they ask your employer if they have a plan. You have a pre-tax limit of $23,000 a year as of 2025. So you can put up to $23,000 in this account pre-tax. This is the better way of doing it. The pre-tax is the better way. Sometimes you can contribute more than the $23,000. That will be after taxes. Most employers don't offer that option, but I thought I'd throw it out there for you. And then this is the big one. So ask your employer if they have a matching contributions, meaning if you put in, say, $10,000, they'll match that and put $10,000 extra dollars in there for you. So by contributing $10,000, you're actually getting $20,000. Usually if an employer is doing matching contributions, they'll do it up to 5 or 7% or some percent of your income. Make sure that you're maxing that out. You don't want to leave that money on the table. If your employer says, hey, we'll match 3% of your income, make sure on day one of the job you're setting up an account and dropping in 3% in there. That way you're getting that free money from your employer. All right. 403B accounts. These are a little more unusual. They're just like a 401k, almost, but they're just basically for government agencies, teachers, and some nonprofits. And you might be wondering, why do we call them 401k and 403B accounts? And that's kind of interesting. The rules that set up these accounts, that allow these accounts to exist, are in the federal tax code. And the one for the 401k is in section 401 of the tax code, paragraph K, creates the account. So we very cleverly called it a 401k account. And then section 403 of the tax code, paragraph B, sets up this account, has all the rules listed there. So that's where those names came from. All right, a traditional IRA. This is another pre-tax account. Individual, IRA stands for individual retirement account. Now, these were set up to offer people that don't have access to a 401k a way of getting like a sort of 401k. They're limited to $7,000 per year of contributions. And you can do this if you have a 401k, you can also do an IRA. Limited to $7,000 per year as of this year. So the amount you can do of pre-tax contribution is limited by a bunch of stuff. It's kind of complicated. When you get to the point where you want to get one of these, it's going to depend on your income and 401k accounts. But there are some backdoor things you can do. Be sure to talk to some financial planners when you start making enough money where you're maxing out that 401k and you want to save more. Talk to hire a financial advisor to help you understand the current rules for how you can invest the rest of your money. I hope you all have that problem where you have so much money in retirement that you're just like, how do I get more in? Not everybody gets to have that problem. All right. And then after-tax accounts. So all of the things we talked about now so far, those pre-tax accounts that are better to use, this is the ones you use after you fill all those up. So Roth IRA. This account is a total of $7,000, and that's for both the IRA accounts. Contributions are taxed before you put the money in. So you're putting in after-tax money. So the nice thing is that your earnings and your contribution at the end when you go to retire will not be taxed. There'll be no income tax on that money. All right, so now this is what I want you to do. Pause the video here and see if you can figure out what order you should drag these in. So this is like, hey, I'm starting to invest my money. Which of these accounts should I put my money in first? Should I spread it across a bunch of them or just focus on one? Try and put them in order from the one that you should be like filling up first, all the way to the one that you'll be filling up last. All right, pause the video. When you come back, we'll be ready to go. Okay, you're back. So let's do this thing. So the first thing I want to do is I know my pre-tax accounts are better than my after-tax accounts. So I'm going to pull my pre-tax one. So here's, whoops, let me hit escape so I can move them around. Here is a pre-tax one. Here is a pre-tax one. And here is a traditional IRA. And these are all three pre-tax ones. All right, so now you look at these and say, okay, accounts that are pre-tax and are matched by my employer. So if I use this account, if I put money in that first, my employer is going to add money as well. And that's free money. So first thing I'm going to do is max out the employer matched part. Then afterwards, so afterwards I'm going to keep using that 401k. So I'm going to fill the rest of that 401k up to that $23,000. Then if I can, I'm going to use 401k. Yeah, these are really rare actually. I'm gonna delete this one because they're super rare that employers will allow you to use. They'll have an account that can be used after tax. So let's just delete that one. And then let's see. A traditional IRA, I'm going to go next. If I can, I might not have access to a traditional IRA. If I don't have access to that, I'm going to set up a Roth IRA. So one of these two, but I'm going to try to do traditional because it's also a pre-tax. So that's the order of the accounts that you want to set up. 401k matched by your employer. You've got to jump on that day one of your job because you're just leaving money on the table if you don't. Afterwards, keep adding money to that 401k until you've maxed out that 401k. At that point, talk to a financial advisor about opening a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA, depending on which one you qualify for. Traditional is better because it's pre-tax. All right, my friends. Great job today. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was useful.